Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and we are back with more Wealthy Monsters. Today, we are on the next individual that shows up most often on the list, Larry Page. We've done Arno, Buffett, Page here on the World Billionaires list, Forbes for 2025. Larry Page. 2024, he's at number 10. So they've made a lot of money here recently. The Bloomberg Billionaires Index, Larry Page, right behind Gates. So, yeah. And then the Forbes Real Time Billionaires list, he's at number 7, right behind everybody else we've done. So, yeah. So, we are looking at numbers 6, 7, sometimes 8, sometimes 10. Larry Page. Now, he is most well known for Google, being one of the founders and originators of the company, the search engine. The company itself, founded in '98 by Larry Page and Sergey Brin, who is right behind Page on the billionaires list. So, yeah, both these men have profited incredibly from Google. More than 70% of worldwide searches are done by Google. It's quite literally become a phrase. Google it. So, yeah. Now, it was restructured in 2015, creating its parent holding company, Alphabet Inc. So, yeah, Alphabet Inc. owns Google. So, yeah. Um, yeah. Probably the biggest thing owned under Google, it's got the search engine, it's got some AI, but YouTube is probably the biggest thing under it. It's got Fitbit, Android. If you don't have a Apple phone, you got an Android more than likely. So, yeah. Um, Other companies under it, yeah. Nothing recaptures one you see a lot when you try and the websites have you identify this or that, but th- that is Google in a nutshell. Who they are, the hierarchy. The parent company is now known as Alphabet Inc. So, yeah. But Larry Page, along with Sergey Brin, was one of the two people who founded the company. Page himself was born March the 26th, 1973, in East Lansing, Michigan, making him 52 years of age. He is a computer scientist and entrepreneur who, along with Brin, created the search engine Google. Page's father was the professor of computer science at Michigan State University and received a computer engineering degree from the University of Michigan in 1995 and entered into the doctorate program at Stanford University, where he would meet Brin. Both Page and Brin were interested in improving how users parse the massive amounts of data offered by the internet. Working from Page's dormitory room, they devised a new type of search engine algorithm called PageRank that leveraged users' ranking abilities by tracking each site's backing links, that is, the number of pages linked to them. But yeah. In order to further the search engine, they both raised about $1 million in outside financing from investors, family, and friends, and called their expanded search engine Google, a name derived from the misspelling of the word Google, a mathematical term for the number 1 followed by 100 zeros, if you ever wanted to know what it means. So the actual spelling, Googol, it's an actual mathematical term. The number 1 followed by, I guess it would be zero. How would you write that? It just wouldn't be a normal exponent. I don't believe. But yeah, written out, if you want to write it out that way, 1 and then 0, until you get 100 zeros. But yeah, by September 1998, the two had founded Google Incorporated with Page as the chief executive officer, CEO, and had established a patent for their PageRank system. The next year, Google received $25 million of venture capital funding and was processing 500,000 queries per day. Before Google, you had several search engines. Goodness, there was Dogpile, there was Ask Jeeves, there was several. But yeah, I don't think there was anything kind of topping the charts like Google was. Because when it came out, it started boom. It like almost blew up, more or less, becoming amazingly adept at what you asked it to do. Page would step down as CEO in 2001 and become president of products. He was replaced as CEO by tech executive Eric Schmidt. However, both Page and Brin remain closely involved in running Google operations. By 2004, the search engine was being used 200 million times a day. And in August of 2004, Google issued its initial public offering, first time going on the market, which netted Page more than $3.8 billion. So the product now went from being a private company to public on the stock market. In an acquisition reflecting the company's efforts to expand its services beyond internet services, in 2006, Google purchased the video streaming service YouTube for $1.65 billion in stock. In 2011, Page resumed his duties as Google CEO and Schmidt became the executive chair. Google was restructured in August of 2015, as we've already mentioned, and created a new holding company, making Google just a subsidiary of it, but the new company's name was Alphabet Inc. Page becomes CEO of Alphabet. He left the post in December 2019 and continued to serve on Alphabet's board of directors. So he's still involved, but he's no longer the head honcho. Now, a little more directly, a look at Larry Page. Born Lawrence Edward Page, as we said, March 26, 1973, I think they said it was East Lansing, Michigan. This one just says Lansing, Michigan. But 52 years old, earned a Bachelor of Science from the University of Michigan and a Master's of Science from Stanford University. He had a computer engineer. He's been a computer engineer, computer scientist, and businessman. He was known for being a co-creator of the PageRank system algorithm that Google used, for co-founding Alphabet Inc. and co-founding and creating Google. He has one wife, Lucinda Southworth, who he married in 2007. So yeah. It has an estimated net worth of $175 billion as of December 2024, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, and $162.2 billion according to Forbes, which makes him the 6th richest person in the world. He has also invested in flying car startups like Kitty Hawk and Opener. His father was Carl Victor Page Sr., who earned a PhD in computer science from the University of Michigan. Father was a computer science professor at Michigan State University, and his mother, Gloria, was an instructor in computer programming at Lyman Briggs College at Michigan State. So, from his youth, he's going to be used to computers. Both of his parents working in the field of computers. At the top of the game. They're teaching and everything, so. Let's see. Larry Page recalled his childhood home was usually a mess with computers, science and technology magazines, and popular science magazines all over the place, in which he immersed himself into reading. Um, uh, in some sense, I feel like music training led to the high speed legacy of Google for me. In an interview, Page said that in music, you're very cognizant of time, but time is like a primary thing, and that if you think about it from the music point of view, if you're a percussionist, you hit something, it's got to happen in milliseconds, fractions of a second, which is how your modern search engines, including Google, work. It's like it's got to hit quick to bring up information. Talking about playing with computers and stuff since 6, playing with the stuff lying around, first generation PCs that had been left by his mother and father. Became the first kid in his elementary school to turn in an assignment from a word processor. His brother, Carl Victor Page Jr., also taught him to take things apart, and before long he was taking everything in his house apart to see how it worked. From a very early age, I also realized I wanted to invent things, so I became interested in technology and business. Um, Attended Okemos Montessori School, now called Montessori Radmore, in Okemos, Michigan, from ages 2 to 7. Attended East Lansing High School, graduating in 1991. In summer school, he attended Interlochen Center for the Arts at Interlochen, Michigan, playing flute, but mainly saxophone, for 2 summers. I received a Bachelor of Science in Computer Engineering from the University of Michigan in 1995 and a Master of Science in Computer Science from Stanford University in 1998. While at the University of Michigan, Page created an inkjet printer made of Lego bricks, literally a line plotter, after he thought it possible to print large posters cheaply with the use of inkjet cartridges. He reverse engineered the ink cartridge and built the electronics and mechanics to drive it. He would serve as president of Beta Epsilon chapter of the Eta Kappa Nu Honor Society and a member of the 1993 Maize and Blue University of Michigan Solar Car Team. As an undergraduate at the University of Michigan, he proposed that the school replace its bus system with a personal rapid transit system, which is essentially driverless monorail with separate cars for every passenger. He also developed a business plan for a company that would use software to build the music synthesizer during his time. A PhD program he wrote at Stanford and was in search of a dissertation theme and considered exploring the mathematical properties of the World Wide Web, understanding its link structure as a huge graph. His supervisor, Terry Winograd, encouraged him to pursue the idea, and Page recalled in 2008 that it was the best advice he had received. He also considered doing research on telepresence and self-driving cars during this time. He would focus on the problem of finding out which web pages link to a given page, considering the number and nature of such backlinks as viable information for that page. The role of citations in academic publishing would also become pertinent for the search. Sergey Brin, a fellow Stanford PhD student, would soon join Page's research project, nicknamed Backrub. Together, the pair authorized a research paper titled The Anatomy of Large Scale Hypertextual Web Search Engine, which became one of the most downloaded scientific documents in the history of the internet at the time. John Battelle, a co-founder of Wired magazine, wrote that Page had reasoned that the entire web was loosely based on the premise of citation. After all, what is a link but a citation? If he could devise a method to count and qualify each backlink on the web, as Page puts it, the web would become a more valuable place. Battelle further described how Page and Brin began working together on the project. At the time Page conceived of Backrub, the web comprised of an estimated 10 million documents, with an untold number of links between them. The computing resources required to crawl such a beast were well beyond the usual bounds of a student project. Unaware of exactly what he was getting into, Page began building this crawler. The idea's complexity and scale lured Sergey Brin to the job. A polymath who had jumped from project to project without settling on a thesis topic, he found the premise behind Backrub fascinating. I talked to lots of research groups around the school, Brin recalls, and this was the most exciting project, both because it tackled the web and presents human knowledge, and because I liked Larry. Polymaths individual whose knowledge spans many different subjects, known to draw on complex bodies of knowledge or solve specific problems. Polymaths often prefer a specific context in which to explain their knowledge. So yeah, very, very much a man who was aware of several different things, but wasn't able to really focus in on one particular subject. But yeah, Larry Page's project, Backrub, really interested him. They developed the search engine. Combining ideas, the pair began using Larry Page's dorm room as a machine laboratory and extracted spare parts from inexpensive computers to create a device that they used to connect the now nascent search engine with Stanford's broadband campus network. After filling Larry Page's room with equipment, they then converted Sergey Brin's dorm room into an office and programming center where they tested their new search engine designs on the web. The rapid growth of their project caused Stanford's computing infrastructure to experience problems. Page and Brin used the former's basic HTML programming skills to set up a simple search page for users that they did not have a web page developer to create anything visually elaborate. HTML, of course, is hypertext markup language, one of the computer programming languages. They also began using any computer part they could find to assemble the necessary computing power to handle searches by multiple users. So yeah. By early 1997, the Backrub page described the state as follows: rough statistics, total indexable HTML URLs, and total content downloaded. 207 gigabytes now, it's not that big, but back then, this is 96. We're usually dealing with bytes, megabytes of information. The program's written with Java and Python and runs on several Sun Ultras and Intel Pentiums running Linux. The primary database is kept on a Sun Ultra Series 2 with 28 gigabytes of a disk. Scott Hassan and Alan Sterenberg have provided a great deal of very talented implementation help. Sergey Brin has also been involved and deserves many thanks. This was written by Larry Page. But yeah. Backrub would already show the rudimentary functions and characteristics of a search engine. A query input was entered and provided a list of backlinks ranked by importance. Larry Page recalled, "We realized that we had a querying tool. If you gave it gave you a good overall ranking of pages and ordering of follow-up pages." Page and Brin's vision had been compared to that of Johannes Gutenberg, the inventor of the modern printing press. In 1440, Gutenberg introduced Europe to the mechanical printing press, printing Bibles for mass consumption. The technology allowed for books and manuscripts originally replicated by hand to be printed at a much faster rate, thus spreading knowledge and helping to usher in the European Renaissance. Google has done a similar job. Yeah, before the mechanical printing press, books were expensive because they had to be hand copied. You weren't finding them just printed out. No, they were hand copied. Think about that. And thus, with less time used, less effort, the value, the price of books dropped. The comparison was also noted by the authors of the Google story. Not since Gutenberg has there been any invention empowered individuals and transformed access to information as profoundly as Google. In 1998 to 2000, soliciting funds from faculty members, family, and friends, Brin and Page scraped together enough to buy some servers and rent that famous garage in Menlo Park. Soon after, Sun Microsystems co-founder Andy Bechtolsheim wrote a $100,000 check to Google Incorporated. The only problem was Google Incorporated did not exist yet. The company hadn't been yet incorporated, and for 2 weeks as they handled the paperwork, the young men had nowhere to deposit the money. In 98, Brin and Page incorporated Google Inc. and the initial domain name of Google, derived from the number it consists of 1 followed by 100 zeros, representing the vast amount of data that the search engine was intended to explore. Using the garage in their friend Susan Wojcicki's Menlo Park home for $1,700 a month, Page and Brin were able to successfully build the Google search engine. Following the inception, Page appointed himself CEO, while Brin, named Google's co-founder, was Google's president. Writer Nicholas Carson wrote in 2014, the pair's mission was to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. With a U.S. $1 million loan from friends and family, the inaugural team moved into the Mountain View office by the start of 2000. In 1999, Page experimented with smaller servers so Google could fit more into each square meter of the third-party warehouses the company rented for their servers. This eventually led to a service engine that ran much faster than Google's competitors at the time. During the first time as CEO, Page embarked on an attempt to fire all Google's project managers in 2001. Page's plan involved all the Google's engineers reporting to a VP of engineering, who would then report directly to him. Page explained that he did not like non-engineers supervising engineers due to the limited technical knowledge. Page even documented his management tenets for his team to use as a reference. Do not delegate. Do everything you can yourself to make things go faster. Do not get in the way if you're not adding value. Let the people doing the work talk to each other while you go do something else. Do not be a bureaucrat. Ideas are more important than age. Just because someone is junior does not mean they do not deserve respect and cooperation. The worst thing you can do is stop someone from doing something by saying no, period. If you say no, you have to help them find a better way to get it done. The new model would be unsustainable and led to disgruntlement among the affected employees. His issue with engineers being managed by non-engineering staff would gain traction. Page also believed that the faster Google's search engine returned answers, the more it would be used. He fretted over milliseconds and pushed his engineers from those who developed algorithms to those who built data centers to think about lag times. 2001 to 2011, before Silicon Valley's two most prominent investors, Kleiner Perkins and Sequoia Capital, agreed to invest a combined total of $50 million in Google, they applied pressure on Page to step down as CEO so that a more experienced leader could build a world-class management team. Page eventually became amenable to the idea after meeting with other technology CEOs, including Steve Jobs and Intel's Andrew Grove. Eric Schmidt, who had been hired as the chairman of Google in March 2001, left his full-time position as the CEO of Novell to take over the same role at Google in August of the same year, and Page moved aside to assume the president of products role. Under Schmidt's leadership, Google underwent a period of major growth and expansion, including its IPO when it went public on the stock market. He always acted in consultation with Page and Brin, and was embarked on initiatives such as hiring of an executive team and the creation of a Salesforce management system. Page remained the boss at Google in the eyes of the employees, but as he gave final approval on all new hires, and it was Page who provided the signature for the IPO, the latter making him a billionaire at the age of 30. Page led the acquisition of Android for $50 million in 2005 to fulfill his ambition to place handheld computers in the possession of consumers so they could access Google anywhere. The purchase was made without Schmidt's knowledge, but the CEO was not perturbed by the relatively small acquisition. Page became passionate about Android and spent large amounts of time with Android CEO and co-founder Andy Rubin. By September 2008, T-Mobile launched the G1, the first phone using Android software, and by 2010, 17.2% of the handset market consisted of Android sales, overtaking Apple for the first time. Android became the world's most popular mobile operating system shortly afterward. He would go back to being the chief executive at Google in 2011. Google had over $180 billion market capitalization and more than 24,000 employees. 2011 to 2013. Let's see. I started making some of their acquisitions and stuff. Consolidation processes. I remember Google Plus. It's no longer a thing, I don't believe. (2013 to 15). The SOPA bill, Stop Online Piracy Act, and the International Telecommunications Union proposal that had been recently introduced. Page responded to a question about corporations, noting that corporations largely got a bad rap, which he stated was because they were probably doing the same incremental things they were doing 50 to 20 years ago. He went on to juxtapose that kind of incremental approach with the vision of Google in counteracting calcification through driving technology innovation at a high rate. He would mention Elon Musk and SpaceX. He wants to go to Mars and back up humanity. That's a worthy goal. We have a lot of employees at Google who have become pretty wealthy. You're working because you want to change the world and make it better. I'd like for us to help out more than we are. Page would also mention Nikola Tesla in regards to innovation or invention and commercialization. Invention is not enough. Tesla invented the electric power we use, but he struggled to get it out to people. You have to combine both things, invention and innovation focus, plus a company that can really commercialize things and get them to the people. Let's see. August 10th, 2015, Page announced at Google's official blog that Google had restructured into a number of subsidiaries of a new holding company known as Alphabet Inc., with Page becoming CEO of Alphabet Inc. and Sundar Pichai assuming the position of CEO of Google Inc. In this announcement, Page described the planned holding company as follows. Alphabet is mostly a collection of companies, the largest of which, of course, is Google. The newer Google is a bit slimmed down, with the companies that are pretty far afield of our main internet production contained in Alphabet instead. Fundamentally, we believe this allows us more management scale, as we can run things independently that aren't very related. So yeah. Let's see. September 3rd, 2019, Page announced he would step down from the position as Alphabet CEO to be replaced by Sundar Pichai. Page and Brin announced the change in a joint blog post. Alphabet now well established in Google and other bets operating effectively as independent companies, it's a natural time to simplify our management structure. And then we talk about some of his other interests. Investor in Tesla Motors. It wasn't co-founded by friend and fellow billionaire Elon Musk. That is a fuck up on your part, Wikipedia. Elon Musk did not develop and found it. He has also invested renewable energy technology, and with the help of Google.org, Google's philanthropic arm, promotes the adoption of plug-in hybrid electric cars and other alternative energy investments. He's also the strategic backer in the Opener and Kitty Hawk startups we talked about before, flying cars, aerial vehicles, for consumer travel. The company has ceased all activities. merged into Whisk Arrow, joint venture with Boeing in September of 2022. He also founded Dynatomics, Palo Alto-based startup establishment in 2023 that uses AI to optimize product manufacturing processes. He helped set up Singularity University, transhumanist think tank. See, personal lives. Early 2000, briefly dated Marissa Mayer, business leader and former CEO of Yahoo, who was a Google employee at the time. 2015, bought a 9,000 square foot Spanish colonial revival architecture house in Palo Alto, California. A two-story stucco archway spans the driveway, and the home features intricate stucco work as well as stone and tile in California arts and crafts movement style, built to resemble Lemos's family's castle in Spain. The Pedro de Lemos house was constructed between 31 and 41 by de Lemos. So that was the actual house he bought that was designed by de Lemos. He would marry Lucinda Southworth on Necker Island in the Caribbean island owned by Richard Branson. Southworth is a research scientist and sister of American actress and model Carrie Southworth. Paige and Southworth have two children, born in 2009 and in 2011, respectively. In 2009, he began purchasing properties and tearing down homes adjacent to his home in Palo Alto to make room for a large eco house. The existing buildings were deconstructed and the materials donated for reuse. The eco house was designed to minimize the impact on the environment. Paige worked with an arborist to replace some trees and that were in poor health and others that used less water to maintain. Paige also applied for Green Point certification, with points given for use of recycled and low or no VOC, volatile organic compound materials, for a roof garden with solar panels. Bought a $45 million, 193-foot super yacht, Senses, in 2011. In 2013, his right vocal cord would be paralyzed from a cold that he contracted the previous summer, while his left cord was paralyzed in 1999, and the doctors were unable to identify that exact cause. The Google Plus post also revealed that Page had made a large donation to the vocal cord nerve function research program at the Boyce Health Institute in Boston. It was reported that Page's paralysis in his vocal cords were caused by an autoimmune disease called Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Um, Let's see. In 2023, the U.S. Virgin Islands tried several times to serve Page a subpoena in a lawsuit over J.P. Morgan Chase's links to Jeffrey Epstein. So not necessarily that he was connected to Epstein directly, but connected to the same financial organization, J.P. Morgan Chase. From PC Magazine, received a Google would receive award as among the top 100 websites and search engines. Page would be named a World Economic Forum Global Leader for tomorrow. And along with Sergey Brin, they were named by MIT's Technology Review publication as one of the top 100 innovators in the world under 35. In 2003, both Page and Brin received an MBA from IE Business School in an honorary capacity. 2004, they received the Marconi Foundation's prize and elected Fellows of the Marconi Foundation at Columbia University. 2004, Page and Brin received the Golden Plate Award of the American Academy of Achievement. Page and Brin were also award recipients and national finalists for the EY Entrepreneur of the Year Award in 2003. Also in 2004, X Prize chose Page as a trustee of their board and was elected to the National Academy of Engineering. 2005, Brin and Page were elected Fellows of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. 2008, Page received the Communication Award from Prince Philippe at the Prince of Asturias Awards on behalf of Google. 2009 to present. 2009, Page received an honorary doctorate from the University of Michigan during a graduation's commencement ceremony. And in 2011, he was ranked 24th on the Forbes list of billionaires and as the 11th richest person in the U.S. 2015, Page's Powerful People profile on the Forbes site states that Google was the most influential company of the digital era. July 2014, the Bloomberg Billionaires Index list puts Page as the 17th richest man in the world with an estimated net worth of $32.7 billion. At the end of 2014, Fortune magazine named Page its Business Person of the Year, declaring him the world's most daring CEO. October 2015, Page would be the number one on Forbes, America's most popular chief executives list by Google employees. And in August of 2017, would be awarded honorary citizenship to Agrigento, Italy. Pop culture. Fictionalized version of Larry Page was portrayed by actor Ben Feldman and appeared in the Showtime series Super Pumped. But yeah, that's what we have on Larry Page. But we'll go ahead and end this episode here. As always, educate thyself. Think, read, study, learn. Someone tells you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll be putting these sources and links at the bottom of in the description box below the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.